aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 72 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I am your host. In this episode, I'm going to give you an update on my knitting antics of the last 2 weeks. I'll show you a couple of pictures that I took when I was on holiday in France last week in the Loire Valley. I am going to show you some extravagant additions to my stash, some of them with very clear ideas as to what I'm going to do with them, and some of them without, just crazy acquisitions, and hopefully, well, I find them very inspirational. I hope you do too. Then there's going to be a short segment again on repair of layer cakes. I have a play suit that is starting to fray, and I'll show you why and what I'm going to do about it to hopefully give you ideas as to how you can mend your garments. And I have a pair of high-lows from a customer who absolutely adores them, but they are starting to fall apart, and she has asked if I can do something about that. So I'm going to talk you through my plans with that. Then there's another short segment about a maker's highlight, somebody that I've met through the network of British manufacturers and small companies like myself who look for British manufacturers, as I did with my jersey garments, jersey layer cakes. And I really love what this lady does. Sneak peek behind me. So I thought I'd give her a little shout out. I really recommend her range. And then we're going to dive into layer cake, where I'm going to talk through a small selection of layer cakes for you to take on holiday and give you inspiration as to how a very small number of garments that can easily fit into a carry-on piece of luggage that you can either take obviously on a plane or in a car or a train if you don't have a lot of luggage space or you like to travel light, and how to make that selection of garments last you for at least a week or more because of the way in which you can combine them. So, of course, the garments themselves don't all have to be layer cakes. It can be anything you have in your wardrobe, but it's trying to give you ideas as to what combination of garments to bring so that you have a really varied lineup when it comes to putting different outfits together. So, let's start first with my knitting update. Right, well, I have all those socks on the go, as you remember, and I actually took the pair of the chunky socks the rag socks that I'm knitting for my husband with me, as well as the shawl that I'm working on still, the pressed flower shawl. You may well remember this is the original that I knit out of layer cake linen, which is the pink, and biche et bouche le petit lamb's wool in the mustard color. And this shawl was the inspiration to use a skein that I had of the art yarn cashmere ombre 2-ply, which is 150 gram hank of yarn, skein of yarn, 675 meters of a very loose two sets of singles held together, very floppy cashmere, and using that instead of the biche et bouche in combination with my linen to create the body of the linen, adding that to the super softness of the cashmere. I'll show you a photograph here that I posted on Instagram this week of me wearing as far as I got with the shawl, because of course it's all crunched up on the needles. As you can see, where it started to go dark in color is where I started the edge, where the frequency of the little linen flowers doubles. I like the idea of the dark color coming through together with the heavier presence of flowers. And I'm just going to keep going with this edging. So it may end up being quite a wide edge because I want to use up all the cashmere that I have. And I still have a fair amount left. As you can see, my ball's gone completely flat because, of course, I'm feeding it from the middle. I still don't know what colors are coming next, although I expect that there's not going to be a lot of variation left until I'm back into the oranges and the pink. And the oranges and the pink are also what I started with. So by the time I get to the bottom of this, and I'm still going strong with my blue flowers, I'll be bringing back in those light colors that I started with, and I really like that idea. So I'll keep you updated on the progress. It's very slow going because I've got a million stitches on here by now. Actually, I'll count them and then put them down here in the down bar because, of course, I'm knitting this on smaller needles than the original, which is a DK, a pattern written for DK. But because it's a simple repeat, you can just keep going and add extra repeats as I did for the main body, and then adding extra repeats for the edging as well. When it's gone, it's going to be a very lush cashmere wrap, and that's why I want to use up all the yarn. So it's going to be really large and generous, and that's what I had in mind. So I'll keep you posted on this, and that's all I knitted on. So despite the fact that I brought the rag socks to France, I didn't touch them. What I did before bringing them, though, was buy a second ball of the 50 grams of Regia 4-ply, just standard, I guess it's merino, but I don't know for sure if it's merino with some nylon, which is the yarn I'm holding together with the 5 Moons sock blank to create a nice bulky yarn and knit it on 4mm needles. I'll show the sock that I've got finished again here, which I showed you before, saying I did finish one, but I haven't knitted a stitch on sock number 2. It's just got a tiny little bit of the start of the cuff of the second sock, and I haven't touched it yet. Of course, with the current temperatures, he's not desperate for a new pair of rag socks. He's not really wearing his rag socks at the moment, so there's no rush there. But I thought, well, in case it's too warm to knit on the cashmere in France, I'll bring the socks as well. I couldn't put the cashmere down. I kept going. I'm so keen to finish this shawl, so hence being monogamous on it at the moment, and why not? So far my knitting. However, this kind of leads nicely into the next section, because that one ball of Regia 4-ply, I could not live with the idea that I would just buy that and nothing else and then pay shipping costs for one little 50-gram ball. So of course I got greedy and bought more. I also then bought yarn just before we went to France for a second jumper by the Japanese designer that I recently completed a jumper by. And I then also bought yarn in France itself. So I've got quite a lot of stash embellishment to share with you. So why not? Let's make a separate segment of it. Here we go with stash acquisitions. So I'll start with the yarn acquisition that I did just before we went to France for another jumper. I just checked the name so I can now properly say it to you. The designer is Tomomi Yashimoto, a Japanese designer, and the jumper is called the Howling of Wolves sweater. I'll show a picture of it here. And as you can see, it's kind of a wintry kind of scene type of color work on it. So I wanted to ensure that I knitted it in cool colors. And I have two hanks at home. This isn't one of them. This is one of the new ones that I bought. I have two hanks looking like more like this of the cashmere and lamb's wool blend by Biche et Buche, and they have moved from selling that in hanks to selling it in ready wound balls. So I already had two hanks in the dark grey color. The color's called, is dark grey. And I needed another 4 of them to have enough yarn to use that as the main color of the Howling of Wolves sweater. And then I was umming and ahhing as to what colors to add. And one of the colors that I really enjoyed that using in the Caitlin Hunter jumper that I knitted last year was the Le Petit Lamb's wool color in turquoise. And I kept looking at that and thinking, ooh, it's a nice, cool, icy color combined with the dark gray. And now I need a third one. And one of the other interesting colors that is now also in balls by Biche et Buche in Le Petit Lamb's wool is a color called Candy. I will try and show you a close-up of that color here. It's got lots of different pastels in it, and one of them is the turquoise. So the turquoise yarn picks up very nicely on the turquoise in this. And again, as a complementary color, together with the turquoise and then with a main body, so the main colors that'll be surrounding all of this is going to be the gray. I thought it would be a lovely combination for my version of the Howling of Wolves sweater. So 1 ball of this, 1 ball of the turquoise, and 6 balls in total, 300 grams of the dark gray in Le Petit Le Cashmere and lamb's wool. So that's going to be another jumper for me at some point. I don't know whether I'm going to start it yet, because there is more, a lot more. I told you about the 1 ball of black regia to combine with my sock yarn for the rag socks for my husband. And what I saw as well on the same website where I bought that was some Noro sock yarn that was on sale. And I really, really fell for the colors in this colorway. Believe it or not, both of these are the same colorway, but as you may be familiar, Noro has these really long color repeats. So what's on the outside of one ball of yarn may well be on the inside of another, and therefore they actually look like different colorways on the outside. So the only way you can get a better idea of what happens with the colors is to kind of prise open the end of the ball a little bit and peek what's inside. And there is shocking pink and bright teal green, very bright blue in here. So I thought, oh yeah, I really like the color combinations. And I've got 2 of these to either holding a single strand of yarn or holding 2 strands together, knit another pair of house socks. They're very likely, again, going to be for my husband. Like I said, the ones that I'm knitting for them are only pair number 2, and he wears them all the time in the winter, so he could do with a 3rd pair. So I'm going to do a little bit of test knitting with this to see how I like it in terms of density. If I do this, it's a 300 meters per 100 gram yarn, so it's edging towards a sport weight. And I'm going to try that on like a 2.5, 2.75 millimeter needle, maybe a 3 millimeter needle, depending on what kind of fabric I get, and then decide whether I'm going to go with that as a single strand or whether I'm going to combine it again and bulk them up either with each other or with something else altogether. I'll keep you posted when I get to it. So rather than knitting on socks, I've bought more yarn for socks. There you go. then, of course, we went to France, and in Saumur, which is the little city that we stay in when we go there. We've been going there a number of times. We decided that this year was probably going to be our last visit there. There are too many other bits of the world that we want to visit. And one of the things that we did when we went to Saumur, it was always a little holiday for the two of us. And now that the kids are mostly out of house, daughter has moved out altogether and boys are in uni, so they're actually home again at the moment. But for a big part of the year, they're not living at home. They're in their respective uni cities. So we're spending a lot of time, just the two of us anyway. So this kind of ritual of going to Saumur to have a little bit of us time is not as pressing anymore. And we can do us time in lots of different places at the end of the day. So long story short, itchy nose, in Saumur, there is a very small knitting shop, yarn shop, little LYS. And every time we've been there, and we've been to Saumur 5 or 6 times now in the last 8 or so years, every time we would walk by the little street where you could see the little yarn shop, and I would decide not to go in. First of all, my expectations weren't very high, but secondly, I thought, regardless of what the yarn situation is when I go inside, I'm very likely to feel one way or other sorry for the owner, and I'm going to end up buying yarn. Do I need more yarn? No, I do not, especially not when we're going on a little twosome holiday. So every time I said, no, I'm not going to go in there. I'm not even going to look in the window because it's just going to tempt me. So I never looked at this yarn shop. And now, the first time that we were back since the lockdowns due to COVID, little yarn shop still going strong. And because we may not be going back, I thought, all right, I have to go and see. I have to go and see with my own eyes what kind of shop this is. And oh my goodness, I could have spent so much money every year that I was there. So I'm in a way, it was bittersweet. On the one hand, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have bought so much nice yarn over the years. And on the other hand, I was like, thank goodness I never opened the door, because I would have kept coming back for more every time we went there. Gorgeous yarn shop, gorgeous selection of yarns, and a lot of them French brands and European brands in general. A lot of them were brands that are not easy to get at all in the UK, or there is a much smaller selection of them. And the particular brand that really captivated me and captured my imagination is Lang, out of all. I know Lang as one of course, the more commercial brands, one of the bigger brands, and the only way it kind of stuck in my mind is that I think years ago I once bought a hank or a ball of Lang yarn that came with a little spool, for want of a better word, of elastic that you could knit into the cuffs with the yarn. And I thought that was such a clever idea. And I think that's years and years ago. I don't even know if I still have the yarn. I don't remember ever knitting with it, so it must still be in my stash somewhere. And I think that was a Lang yarn, and I really thought that was a very clever solution. But that's really all I know about Lang. And when I walked up to the window of the little shop and I peeked in the window, I saw a basket, beautiful basket with candy. I cannot describe it any other way. And so when I went into the shop, I got the lady to bring the basket of candy out. Sorry about the sound. This is a garbage truck that was languishing right next to my studio. They've now moved off, so apologies for the background noise. It's calm again. I try to suppress the background noise as much as possible when I edit, but I never know in advance how successful I'm going to be. So back to the basket of candy in the Saumur LYS. Right on top of it here, I've got another bundle of candy, and I'm going to show you that again in a minute, because that was my Angora purchase at Wonderwool from Bigwigs Angora. Now, look what I got in Saumur. This is how the lady wrapped it for me, how she packaged it for me. I was so impressed. Anyway, so this is a box of goodies, 12 little balls, 25 grams each, and every 25 grams is a length of, let me see, 80 meters. So it's a yarn that runs about 320 meters per 100 grams. So like a heavy 4-ply, if you like, of 100% hemp. I was so surprised. Here's a commercial brand selling 100% hemp yarn. I love it. And it is relatively soft to the touch. It's comparable with my linen. But of course, it's got a running length that is about half of my linen yarn. So 2 of my strands of linen would be about the same as this. So I literally bought one in every color that the lady carried, and these are the 2 colors, which I think is a beautiful palette. But it also immediately, when I was in the shop already, reminded me of the palette of the Bigwigs Angora little hanks that I bought at Wonderwool. And that was one of my motivators to get one of each of these, because I thought, how about a colorwork project that, of course, I still have this and this on the brain, linen in combination with wool, linen in combination with cashmere. How about hemp in combination with this merino and Angora blend? And I mean, look at these colors, guys. Oh, I should have prepared this better so I could lift it better, but hopefully you're going to get an idea of the Angora palette next to the hemp palette. I mean, come on. These are born to live next to each other, don't you think? Well, I do. And that's what I'm going to try and work into a pattern, or work into a project of some sort. And with the amount that I have, because I have 12 balls of 25 grams of the hemp, so that's 300 grams of hemp, and I've got 12 or 13 of the little 25 gram hanks of the Angora, so I've got a similar amount of Angora. Between the 2, there should be plenty for a complete garment. And of course, I had my beautiful colorwork cardigan, the neck reinforcement that I haven't sewn down yet, that I showed you last time. But this was something like this, a little cropped, relatively fitted cardigan, maybe steeked, in those 2 yarns together. I think it would be heaven on earth. I really like that idea. So that project, if I can find a pattern for it, will be fighting for attention with my Howling of Wolves jumper. So those are 2 garments that I'm going to knit for myself, either later this summer or into the autumn. I don't know yet. And then I still wasn't done. I bought something else in the same shop. Only a small amount. Again, I was just captivated by the yarn itself and the fiber combination, and I have no idea what to do with it, whether I'm going to knit an accessory with it or combine it with other yarns. But let me show you what I got. I put this in the lid of the box that the hemp came in, because these yarns were on top. This yarn is by Lang as well, and it's called Lang Lotus. This is the most natural color of the 3, kind of undyed. And I'll show you the 2 other colors that I've got. So I've got 3 in total, and it looks a little bit like Italian ice cream, doesn't it? But what it is a blend of 60% undyed cotton and 40% cashmere. The cotton is slubby and super soft. The cashmere is relatively unspun, very lightly spun, just like it is in here. And then there are two strands, one strand of the slubby cotton held together with one strand of the cashmere, and then very, very loosely plied. And that's how the yarn has been put together. In terms of yardage, there is 200 meters in a 25 gram ball. So 200 meters, very, very generous, clearly, obviously, a lace weight. And what I bought, spur of the moment decision, is 3 balls. So I have 75 grams of the pink. I have 75 grams of the undyed or the natural, and 1 little ball of the yellow. So I don't know whether this is going to be something striped with yellow accents at the end, at the edges, or anything like that. I have no idea yet. Maybe a big shawl, I like that idea, or maybe even a big cowl that you can kind of pull over your shoulders a little bit. I just don't know yet. I think I have to swatch with it to get an idea of the different fabrics that you can create. Because it is so light and poofy, it'll have a lot of airiness and a lot of real estate in terms of the amount that you can knit with it for one little ball. And because it has been blended with the cotton, it has more body than if it would just be the cashmere. So again, excited, same kind of vein of combining the cashmere with the linen here. I've got a cashmere with a cotton here that again gives a little bit of extra body, but then there's that super duper softness of the cashmere, and I can't even start to imagine what this is going to do when it starts blooming. So super excited. Just now, just talking about it, I get really warm because I get so excited about it. The idea of knitting with it and then seeing it bloom and whatever. And I was trying to have a very haltingly conversation with the lady running the shop. She only spoke French, and I can speak decent French, but not in terms of knitting terms. I don't really know any knitting terms in French. I'm pretty much stopped speaking French when I moved from the Netherlands to England, and then having to speak a foreign language, being English for me full time, really pushed the French to the back of my mind. And now when we go back to France, if I'm being forced to speak French every day, then it actually comes back to me, and I'm surprised at the number of phrases and verbs, etc., that I still remember. But talking knitting in French, oh my gosh, I was lost for words. I was really tongue-tied. But between the two of us, and with hand gestures and everything, I was able to tell her that I thought her yarn selection was magnificent. I was so impressed with the little shop. And we just had a really nice time together. She kept showing me different ideas for designs of the yarn and showing pictures so I could see how this would knit up. And then I was showing her pictures of my designs, saying, oh, don't worry about showing me other people's designs. I'll probably do my own thing and whatever. So it was just glorious. I had such a nice time. And my husband was being super sweet and super patient. He said, don't worry, I'm just going to go for a walk around town and take your time. And, he said, I'm impressed with the fact that you've delayed your first visit to this shop for so long. So take your time. So I must have been in there for like half an hour or whatever. Absolutely loving it. So lots of yarn acquisitions, and I'll be able to keep you very, very entertained, I hope, when I get around to showing you once I'm knitting these. My Howling of Wolves jumper, my have no idea what to do with lotus work, my don't have a design for it yet, but it has to be color work, combination of hemp and angora, and then another pair of rag socks for my husband. So watch this space. In future episodes I will link back to today and show you what I'm going to do with all of them. So enough talking about knitting this week. Let's go on to the next segment, where I have a little bit of a maker's highlight for you. Little Maker Showcase. Here we go. Right, so a quick maker's highlight. These are two cushions that have designs on them by Lucy Green. And Lucy runs her own interior furnishings company called Larkin Society. It is a brand new company with some fabulous products. As you can see, hopefully I'll show you close up as well. What we have here are two cushions that are both printed on what it is a linen and a cotton blend in like an unbleached version. So the fabric has got some proper life in it yet, and some different colors. And what I've got is a gorgeous big bolster cushion. There are lots of other designs as well, but these are the two designs that I chose because they have colors in common and they both feature on my sofa at home. I will show you photographs that I have taken of the cushions on the sofa as we have them at home. Hopefully it comes across how good they look there. The items that are depicted on the cushions. This is, of course, as you can see, a succulent. And if you would be able to see this up close, you would see like a flower print that is kind of on top of the green of the succulent. There's just so much detail and depth in them. And the piping is lovely around the cushions. The content of the cushion is wool, the filling, which of course is also fantastic, right up my street, and they can be removed to be washed. This one has got fish on it, and as you know, husband and I are very keen on doing some freshwater fishing. Rivers specifically is our favorite, so being on the Loire River was just right up our street. But as you can see here, we've got some fish overprinted over the flowers on this bolster cushion, so I could not pass that up. So I think together they work really well. You'll find lots of other combinations on the website as well. It was very difficult for me to not completely splurge and also buy a cushion that has a design of moths on them. I encourage you to have a look at the moth cushion. And now there are also throws, wool throws, that also have the moth design woven into them. They are just stunning. So go and have a look at the Larkin Society website. I'll put the web address below here. And if you do get in contact with Lucy, then let her know that you heard about her from me. She'll love that, and she'll feed it back to me as well. So yeah, I thought it's been a while that we've done a Maker's Highlight. So Larkin Society, give them a look. So, a little bit of mending. Two garments that I'm going to mend this week, and I thought I'd share with you what I'm planning to do. This one is a pair of high-low trousers from a much appreciated customer, dear customer, who is loving wearing these still. They're a couple of years old, number of years old, I think. And she reported that there is this split that goes on the back at the top of her thigh, on the back of one of the panels. So I asked her to send them to me because when the linen wears through, it is possible for something like this to happen, but you then have to kind of really see what the linen around it is doing and whether it's got thin patches all over or whether it's just a case of one of the threads having kind of given up and given way and causing this split. So I've kind of pushed and pulled and checked against the light with the rest of the linen. It still has lots of integrity in the fabric. It hasn't worn through as such. So that means that I can do quite a localized repair here without having to do anything much more dramatic than that. And as a result, the repair is not going to be completely invisible, but it'll be fairly innocuous and it'll give the trousers a new lease of life. I'll put a little bit of fabric behind it to help give the stitches that I'm going to sew on the sewing machine a bit more more purchase, if you like. But apart from that, it'll be a fairly simple repair. I'll show you on the sewing machine after the next bit that I want to talk through. So this is a sewing machine job, and so is the next one. This is my own play suit in the magpie stripe. This is the play suit that I started wearing close to the beginning of the year with an extra pair of baggies underneath, a pair of the cotton baggies, which I was also kind of test wearing before I had them produced for everyone. And in the last number of weeks, I've been wearing these with my Vibram 5-finger shoes, which have Velcro closures, and the Velcro has picked away at the edge of the front edge, as you can see, of my playsuit leg. It's exactly the same thing has happened on the other side. So it's not just a matter of kind of stepping on the edge of my playsuit, which I sometimes do here on the side. And that fabric is absolutely fine because, of course, we all know how strong linen is in that respect. So it's not stepping on the hem. It's been purely the scratchiness of the edge of the Velcro of my shoe closure that has caused this. So I've come up with a solution that will help strengthen the fabric. What I'm going to do is some more of the ribbon. I really liked working with the ribbon when I was doing the steek on my cardigan and kind of setting the back of the neck edge that I showed you last time on the cardigan. And what I'm going to do with this ribbon now is to catch the frays of the fabric as I fold them in. So I'm actually looking here at 4 layers of linen, because I've got the linen of the front panel coming down, then the linen of the pocket, and those two together get folded over. So then I have 4 layers of linen. So what I'm going to do is to fold that bottom edge in for, well, less than a centimeter, about 1/3 of an inch, and I'm going to place the ribbon, which is also a centimeter in width, just over the edge of it, so that the fold, the ultimate edge of the play suit is just about in the middle underneath my ribbon. Then I'm going to stitch through those 8 layers of fabric plus the ribbon on one side and the 4 layers of fabric here on the other side, which will keep everything in place. And of course, when I get to this bit, I'm not going to cut any of those frays. I'm just going to very carefully fold them in and use the frays to get more purchase on my fabric and put the edging of my ribbon over the top and then sew it down like that. So I'll show you on the sewing machine. Like I said, I'm going to start all the way on the inner edge because, of course, with the play suits, there is a little bit on each side without any zip. So there's enough space here for me to fold it in. I'm going to fold it in, go all the way around front and back, and do that on both legs. And then I'll show you the result when I'm done. So I'm going to work the fabric under my sewing machine foot, as you can see, through the hole. I've got a little bit of charcoal crossweave linen sitting behind the gap in the fabric, and I'm holding that down with 2 pins. And now I'm just going to kind of close the gap, make sure that I don't really have any frayed yarns on the outside, and then sew this down in a way that it will not undo again. And so that's my 2 gaps kind of held closed. Of course, I'm only sewing one edge at a time. I'm just going to go into a straight stitch to put these 2 down and stop them from moving around. And then I'm going to add some more stitching as strengthening, for want of a better word. I've moved that across and literally 1 or 2 threads in from the rib, for want of a better word, is where I'm stitching down one side of the fabric. Coming to the other side, put my needle down to make it easier to turn around and not lose my place. Turn the whole thing around and sew back on the other side. Or at least that's the plan. Now that I've done most of my movement, I can put my foot down, bring my needle back up, and then reposition my foot so that I'm making sure that I catch the other half of the fabric. So move it over a little bit, and now I sew back to the other side. See that this is still loose, so I bunch that up against the split. And sew across. So what I've got now, I'll show you, is hopefully 2 lines of stitches, nice and small, as you can see, that are holding down that split. But this is not very strong yet. If I pull this, I'll just pull those frays out again. So I need more stitching to strengthen this whole area. And as a result of that, some of that is going to be visible, which is fine. It's not a problem. There'll just be a little line running across of stitches rather than a great big hole or a bigger repair. I don't really bother with anchoring those stitch lines. I just cut the ends very short. I'm going to trim all the last bits, and then that is it. It's not perfect, but like I said, the whole trouser isn't perfect. They're old trousers at the end of the day, but this is really going to give them a new lease of life. Take my pins out and then show you the end result. So yes, a summer wardrobe to bring on holiday, and with lots of last minute decisions to go. Lots of you may be going without a lot of space for luggage, and taking a little bit on holiday is often plenty. Our outfits are very often not our main concern. We just want to be comfortable. We want to be appropriately dressed for the climate that we're in, and we want to enjoy what we're wearing. So what I've put together here is very similar to what I took with me last week when I was on holiday in France, just for a week. And what you'll see is when you get this kind of number of garments, I have a total of 7 garments. That's it. 4 of them are in my hand. 3 of them I am wearing. That tends to be plenty for a week away. And if you have the opportunity to have anything washed, if you stay away for longer, then you don't have to up the number of garments to go for a 2 or 3 week holiday, because there is so much in here that can be combined in different ways and making different outfits. And let's be honest, do we really have to have a completely different outfit for every day that we are away? Of course we don't, really. So I'll talk you through the garments that I've got here. And of course, there's lots of movement and play of interchanging. For example, if you say, well, I'm less into trousers, I'm more into dresses, then swap one of the trousers for a dress, for example. But we'll get to that gradually. I'll start with the outfit that I've got on and put the rest of this away and talk through it as I show you the different combinations. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope it'll be useful. And before saying anything else, these 7 garments easily fit in one of the carry-on luggages that you're allowed on a plane, with space for 1 or 2 pairs of trousers and a toiletries bag. So, oh, and of course, a swimming cozy. Almost forgot the most important bit, right? That is if you're going to a sunny area. So I'll put these away and we'll get started. So if you only have a small suitcase with you, then be aware that of course you can wear, in this case, almost half the number of garments that when you're going on the plane or in the train or wherever it is that you take your little suitcase, maybe in a car that doesn't have a lot of luggage space. So 3 or even 4 of your 7 garments could be worn together on your day of travel. And because there is a little bit of layering involved, of course, those allow for varying temperatures. If you get too warm, of course, you can shed the duster, and same goes for a lot of the other outfits. You can layer them up when it gets cooler or strip them back down when it gets warmer. So what I've got here are a pair of baggies, one of the cotton love tops, and a long duster. This is one of the summer dusters, the promotion that we've just done, the Mist Stripe. But of course, that goes for all of these pieces. You could almost go for any kind of color combination. And I have gone for very disparate combination of colors for the 7 garments that I've chosen on purpose, and grabbed a couple of scarfies to try and tie things together. And you'll see that in some cases where you go, well, I wouldn't wear that red with that green, for example. If you then add a little accessory, then you'll bring the whole outfit together and it'll work a treat. So I'll start swapping and changing out some of the garments I've got here, starting with the duster and keeping the other 2 on. So loose the duster, add a love top, a linen one, over the top of my cotton one. So rather than using this as an underpinning, I've put it on as an overpiece. And remember, that's something that you can play with in terms of sizing. So you could go down a size in the cotton top and up a size, or go for your regular size in the love top, or however you prefer. In this case, they're all the same size. So they're a size 1 cotton love top, stretchy love top, and a size 1 linen love top. And then of course you can play with things like the cuffs to shorten the sleeves if it's warm where you are, or to just bring that pop of color back that you and are kind of repeating in the apple baggies. They're the apple herringbone baggies, the chartreuse cotton love top, And this is the heather stripe linen love top. And the heather stripe is also available as one of the colors for the duster that I was just showing you. So here my little bright pop of green color is back. Great outfit, nice and summery, and of course an extra layer. So if it's too warm, then all you do is lose the chartreuse, and then you have a really nice and wafty linen outfit with your baggies and your linen love top, which is nice and loose and doesn't cling anywhere. But for that added bit of warmth, the cotton love top underneath works a treat. Right, I'll lose the cotton love top to show you that just 2 pieces of linen, and then we'll start adding more. So gone is the cotton love top, and just have the wafty linen top with my baggies. And like I said, if I now want to bring any of that green back at the top, I could just grab a multicolored scarfie like this, for example, and tie things together, literally tie things together by bringing the green back at the top, or go a little bit more tonal with, this is my latest sample actually. Nice to give that a little shout out again. Knitted for me by one of my fabulous sample knitters, Gemma. She has knitted the streeperig shawl, the little shawlette, in soliloquy rather than in linen. Lovely combination of colors, and because it's got this kind of the tealy colors, but also this kind of, I think it's called seaweed, this color, like a browny green in it. Again, it's a nice way to bring a bit of a pop of green back at the top of this outfit and bring things together. So that's a nice thing. I'll keep doing that with the scarves, just pick them up and show you the difference that it makes in terms of, you know, bringing a whole outfit together. Next, I'm going to swap the trousers and keep the top on. So I changed the baggies for a pair of the Cocoon stretchy baggies in the slate color. As you know, at the moment I've got these Cocoon baggies only in the slate. I had no idea how successful they would be. There'll be more colors coming in the autumn, but right now I've got the slate ones in stock still. Instead of the full length ones, I've grabbed a pair of the regular ones. So these are the large regular, cropped on me, and of course in the summer going out and about, lovely to wear. I've had a lot of feedback on them already, that people say, oh my gosh, these are so wonderful to wear. And of course they make a wonderful addition to your little summer holiday wardrobe because they are so comfy. So at the end of a day in the sun, then putting on these soft, stretchy, organic cotton with a little bit of elastane, so they're going to keep their shape beautifully through many washes. I've tried that out already, so I know. Then putting that on your skin is lovely in the evening. And of course you could go for a whole set in one color, have both the top and the bottom in slate. But what I showed you already was a top in the chartreuse. So having a chartreuse top and the slate bottom together, or any of the other colors really, makes a really nice combination as well. And then if I would want to go out in this, of course I can add, for a little bit more of formality and a little bit more swagger, I can add the duster in again. Let's just do that. Why not? Duster back again with the rest of the outfit. This makes a good outfit for flying as well, of course, because of the stretchy. And then you can also have the stretchy top if you want even more comfort, although wearing this in your normal size is lovely and loose already and nice and airy, of course. So the choice is yours. I will keep these 2 pieces on and add a new garment into the fray, because we're still only we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, we're at 5 garments. I still have 2 that I haven't shown you. And think of the number of outfits that you can already make with purely the things that I've shown you without adding these other 2. But these last 2 are really going to explode your options. So here we go. Starting with a tulip dress. Of course, there has to be a nice summery sleeveless dress as part of this lineup, not just for in hot temperatures, but also for layering, because of course I can layer this top both underneath as well as over the top of the dress. As you know, when you've got your love top on, you still have access to your pockets. And of course, this is again lovely for, you know, a day in town, bit of market shopping, for example, or seeing some sights when it's not super hot. And of course, as it gets warmer, of course, you can lose the baggies and have more air underneath your dress. Let's lose the baggies. You can see that 1 week in France was not quite enough time to give me a proper tan on my legs. Oh, there you go. I'll try and make up for it in the English sunshine. So, lose the baggies when it gets warmer. And if you want more sun on your arms, then of course you can lose the top as well. I'll take that off too and then show you that of course you can still then bring it back as a bit of a cover up or a bit of a feature by just hanging it around your shoulders. If you think, well, this is a little bit too minimal, I want something, little security blanket, just put this around your shoulders and have a little bit of coverage. And by either bringing it up and tying it together, or you can even tuck it in. I tend to tuck it in, or put it together with a pin so it can't fall off, or wear a diagonal bag, for example, to keep it in place. It'll keep your shoulders covered, but you still have maximum air. And if you know you're going to stay out when the sun goes down and it gets cooler, then you can wear this again over the top or even under your dress if you zip into a toilet somewhere and swap them around. But over the top works fine as well, as you already saw. So still have a garment left though to show you. So let's go to the last garment, and after that I'll show some more combinations of the different bits that I've shown you so far. Garment number 7, last turkey in the shop, beloved play suit, in my case, gone for the regular length, so it's nice and cropped again for summer, keeping those ankles free and easy breezy. So I've got it here, of course, with the love top around my shoulders, but I can just as easily put that love top on underneath. Underneath, like I showed you, and this is nice and tonal. The colors go beautifully together because there's a slight, as you know, lilac-y hue to the heather stripe, and then together with all the purples in the play suit, lovely and colorful without the top being loud. But I've got that chartreuse as well, so if you want an extra pop, why not put on the chartreuse with the purple? Stunning combination. I'll show you. Loving this combination. And as you see, I've left the play suit open. Tip for when it gets warm, when your play suit is too warm on you, open it up, wear it as a dress, nice and easy breezy, and keeps you cooler as a result. The reverse applies. If you start to get chilly, zip it back up, or even wear it with one of the cocoon baggies. The cocoon baggies are a wonderful extra layer underneath regular baggies or a play suit for winter or evenings, chilly evenings. Speaking of chilly, instead of adding baggies to this, of course, the other thing I can add to this outfit for an overall extra layer is the dress. I'll show you. And here it is. Play suit underneath and the cotton love top, and then the dress over the top. Nice and cozy if you're not in a warm environment. And with those extra layers, of course, it buffers a lot of wind as well. Add your duster over the top if you need more of a layer even. So, and that's the thing, of course, you can keep layering extra pieces on. Underneath this could go the cotton baggies again, for example, if you want another layer. So, but I won't go crazy. That's not the point. You understand the point that I'm making. Instead of the play suit, of course I can also wear this dress in combination with the apple baggies and this lovely cotton love top. I'll show you. Another summery combination that I really like: apple, chartreuse, raspberry, and of course you can add or lose layers as the temperature demands. I'm going to show you one more outfit that I think is really nice for a little bit of dressing up in the evening, maybe slightly more formal and still clearly summer outfit. I'll go and put it together now. So I've just been playing with the regular length dress, but of course you can go longer if you prefer, or shorter with a petite dress if you like the idea of layering but want to show more of the garments that are worn underneath. Same goes for the duster. I've been playing with a long one because I love the swagger of them, but if you don't prefer that much fabric around you, of course you can go for a shorter one. The point being that if you have 7 pieces with you, then by having a couple of different tops, the cotton and the linen one, an overpiece like that to cover up, even when you're at the pool, for example, or in the evening, this can be dressed up and down in so many different ways. And then a couple of other pieces. I have 2 pairs of trousers, the cotton baggies and the linen baggies. Of course, one of those could be a pair of palazzos or a pair of high-lows. I just grabbed my personal summer favorites, but they, again, across the range, you can play with that. And then I had one dress, this one, and the play suit. And if you're not into play suits, of course you could have a second dress. If you're not going to a warm climate, then instead of a tulip dress, you could choose a love dress, for example, with the sleeves. So there are lots of possibilities. As you could see, the number of outfits that you can put together with just these 7 garments is almost limitless already. You can go in so many different directions, and that's just playing with different colors. And earlier this week, I had a couple of customers here who said, now with this color, this chartreuse, what does it go with best? And whatever color they would have asked that about, my answer is almost invariably all of them. The whole idea behind the layer cake palette is that you can swap and change almost with your eyes closed and always end up with really nice combinations. They're either tonal and very tasteful, or they're, eclectic and really varied. You can go in lots of different directions. And of course, with the linen yarn, you can knit your favorite accessory in your favorite color combination to go with it. So, any questions about this? Drop me an email or leave me a comment below. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you again soon.